apparently has come to my attention. There has been a huge sacrifice of children over this weekend, over the course of this weekend, especially today, because this article just came out and it's crystalimpact.com. You can go check it out. Just look at it here. It says parents sacrifice hundreds of thousands of children, ages 5 to 11, to the 1-9 crystal gods this weekend. That's crazy. And this was posted November 14, 2021. And this website just goes into the stats of how many children have taken this whole inoculation that has been prescribed to them by these demonic doctors out here. And a lot of their parents, man, pretty much just put them through the fire. If you were to filter it through the scriptures, it was nothing but a sacrifice. Now, before I get started, as always, man, I would just like to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakaha Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, starting with the elder apostle Tahar on down to the elders through the rank and file. May Yahweh Bashem Yashai be with you, Kwam Yasha'Allah and Abba Babal, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom to you brothers as well and sisters that are laboring and kicking this word in faith and sincerity. So yeah, let's get the word sacrifice, because we need to know what that actually means, because people don't really understand the etymology of sacrifice. They just understand the word sacrifice in a general sense. They just know it's the act of giving up something that's pleasurable to get something greater in the long term. That's what they know. That's what they know it as right now in new speech. So it says here, sacrifice, late 13th century, the offering of something, especially a life. Okay, so here we go. So did you just hear that? The offering of something, especially a life. Now, little children, they have lives, right? They're full of energy. They have life. They have blood flowing through them, right? There you go. So it says, to a deity as an act of propitiation, which means propitiation just means to simply gain the favor of a deity, or to appease a deity, to appease it, to gain favor, or to appease it so it doesn't show you wrath, so it doesn't judge you. And throughout the scriptures, you see the Israelites giving propitiation unto Yahweh, Yahushai. They pay homage. That's why you have a sin sacrifice. That's why you have certain sacrifices that are geared towards repentance, atonement. Also, Yahushai, he was that unblemished lamb. And also, the scripture says, make thy body a living sacrifice. And in order to be a sacrifice, you have to be pure. Now, when you look at children are pretty much deemed as sacred, especially in this society. They're called precious, so they're very pure-hearted. They don't understand things like how adults understand things. They're not really, their senses are not fully functioning. If you understand what I mean, they're still developing. So they're pretty much pure-hearted. So that's something that's sacred if you think about it. Okay, it's very pure. So that's a good sacrifice to give up to a deity. Now it says propitiation, homage, mid 14th century, that which is offered to a deity in sacrifice offering, performing priestly functions or sacrifices. Making sacred rites, to make, to do, originally especially of Christ's propitiatory offering of himself for the world. The general sense of act of giving up a desirable thing for a higher object or to a more pressing claim. Something given up for the sake of another. That's basically what it is. And that's the general sense, or the idea of what people have when it comes to a sacrifice. So I just gave you the etymology of sacrifice, and then now I just gave you the general sense or meaning of what it means, okay? So now you know what a sacrifice is. So now you know what we're getting into. So let's go. It says, actually, let me start off with a precept. Let's start off with Exodus chapter 22, verse 20. He that sacrificeth unto any god or power, save unto Yahweh, only he shall be utterly destroyed. That's right. So if you're sacrificing to anything but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, especially if you're an Israelite, you will be utterly destroyed. And a lot of our people right now, they're doing that. And there is going to be a judgment towards our people in the near future. Because they serve and worship these strange gods of the other nations. And really, they make themselves an idol as well. You serve yourself, you serve these other powers. So what is the Lord going to do? He's going to judge you. Because you got a lot of our people, especially our women and men, they're into witchcraft. They're into idolatry. They're into sorcery. They're into magic. They're into child sacrifice. They're into all types of disgusting things. And as of late, man, you've been seeing that come out. And, earlier, I was just watching a little of the GMS Toronto live show that they did yesterday. And you can subscribe to their channel. It's called History of Yaikwab. I suggest you do. I'll probably post a link and post production. But they were like for the first 10 to 15 minutes in the show, they started going into child sacrifice and how this world they love to do it, and it's like more open. It's right in front of your face. And that made me think of the whole situation that went down about 8 days ago with this whole Travis Scott concert, the Astroworld concert that he just had. And you had about 8 people die. And when you look at the symbolism in his concert, you knew it was a sacrifice if you understand how to filter it through the scriptures. That was pretty much a sacrifice onto Molech. And you had 8 people die at that concert. So sooner or later he's about to move up. He was appeasing the wrath, or he was trying to gain favor to Molech, or Chemosh, which is just another name for Molech because they're related. Chemosh is the Molech version for the Moabites when you go into the history. But I believe you can find that in 2 Kings chapter 3 in verse 27. If you go into the Blue Letter and you look into the commentaries, and it explains the deity that what's his name, King Mishosh was serving. He sacrificed his son so he can bring indignation upon the nation of Israel, who was trying to overtake his land. So anyways, yeah, man, so that's what they were going into. And it just caught my eye, and then I ended up started researching, and then I came across this. So this is all sacrifice here. I'll read this one more time. Exodus 22 verse 20. He that sacrificeth unto any power save unto Yahweh, only he shall be utterly destroyed. So there's a big judgment coming your way, destruction. And you've seen that many times throughout the Bible with our nation, and even today. All right, so let's move on. It says hundreds of thousands of children between the ages of 5 and 11 were sacrificed unto the 1-9 crystal powers this weekend, getting their first injections as a satanic ritual, with many of them having this done right in Christian churches. That's messed up, which I'm not surprised, because a lot of these Christian churches, especially these mega churches, they're bought and paid for by the state. And you can go check out that a lot of these mega churches, they have a 501c3 charter, and within that 501c3 charter, they are tax exempt through certain stipulations that they're given by the state. So they have to pretty much go against the word of the Lord. They can't teach you the 100% truth. So that's why they're promoting a lot of these jabs in the churches as well, because they're bought and paid for by the state and they're tax exempt. So that's not a big surprise. This has to be one of the darkest weekends in our nation's history. Of all the products produced by the satanic medical system, which it is satanic, because when you go into the medical system, it's connected with pharmaceuticals. So I look up the word pharmaceutical. And it says pharmaceutical, pertaining to pharmacy or the art of preparing drugs. Drugs, okay? Keep that in mind. From the late Latin pharmaceuticus, of drugs, Greek pharmakitos, from pharmakeus, preparer of drugs, a poisoner. So what they're prescribing for your children to take is pretty much poisons. It's drugs. So let's look up the word poisons. Let's look up that word. A poisoner, or the word poison. Okay, so poison. In biology, I believe biology deals with the body. Poisons are substances that can cause death, injury, or harm to organs, tissues, cells, and DNA, usually by chemical reactions or other activity on the molecular scales. And your body is molecular, and it has DNA, it has organs, it has tissues, and it has cells. So this is so obviously this poison is going to cause damage to you. And this was all created by these pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, Moderna, J&J. And so these are poisons, man. So I just read it to you. These are poisons. And they're all a bunch of pushers. They're no different than Ray on the block that's selling you weed. They're actually worse. They're actually worse because they poison people by the boatloads, man. By the boatloads, by the millions. So they're just as worse at these drug dealers out here. Because everybody's concerned about the so-called black man, Latino man, Native American man. You like to put his face all over the news, and you like to demonize him as a drug dealer with an 8-ball of coke in his pocket or a gram of weed in his pocket selling it. You blow that out of proportion, but these guys you don't blow out. You don't blow out Fauci. You don't blow out what's her name? Rochelle Selinsky or whatever her name is, the director of the CDC. You don't call those guys out, but you'll put Jake in the forefront of pushing drugs. Unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up. So let me move on. It says crystals have to be the most evil when it comes to children because it takes a denial of faith in the Most High to trust in Him to protect your child. That's right. So healing comes from the Lord. I believe it says honor a physician. I know that's in the Apocrypha. Let's see the whole verse here. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 38. Honor a physician. And you notice it doesn't say doctor. It says a physician. Because if you were to put the word doctor here, that would be going off. Because when you look at the etymology of the word doctor, it means to falsify. So that's what a doctor is all about. They just falsify. They tell you lies. And all of these doctors, man, these clinics, I noticed something because when I go to if I ever have to go to the doctor, which I don't do, it's a joke, right? If you look up their clinic, a lot of these clinics out here, they get a cut if they push the whole crystal. If they push it. So a lot of these doctors, they know that it's bad, but because they're getting paid for pushing it, they'll tell you to take it. So what does that do? What does that mean? They just falsify. A lot of these doctors are doing that, man. So anyways, it says, honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him. For Yahweh hath created him. So he created a physician. And what is a physician going to tell you to do? He's going to tell you to use the herbs. So it says, for of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. That's right. So who heals you at the end of the day? It's Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So you have to send up a prayer unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and you have to use the herbs in faith. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. So what does it mean to abhor? To abstain. So you wouldn't abstain from the herbs, the medicines that come out of the earth, the different plants, the different barks, the different minerals. You wouldn't abhor from that. You would actually take that because those things were created for you. Was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. Which such doth he heal men, and taketh away their pains. That's right. So he heals men. He does all the healing. So what did you really sacrifice to? You sacrificed to a demon, man. You didn't sacrifice unto the Lord. You didn't. Now it says here, because it takes a denial of faith in the Most High to trust Him to protect your child, and instead trust in a pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, that has a long history of criminal activities and is probably the most evil company in the world. And yet, after paying billions in criminal fines over the years for bad drugs, poisons, that harmed and killed people, not one executive has ever spent a day in jail. Right? So they're worse than Ray Ray on the block or Carlito. Carlito. They're worse than Carlito and Ray Ray. So that explains it there. It's all corrupt. Now let me go down. Let me just skip some of this. So these are some of the victims, the sacrifices, the good old sacrifices. Good old sacrifices. And this video will probably get taken down. All the sacrifices, man. All the sacrifices. Unbelievable. Can't make this stuff up. Okay, so let me just move forward. It says here, UW Health begins testing 1,9 crystal on children 6 months to 4 years old. So it says the trials last 18 months, but Moderna and Pfizer have the representatives at the FDA who can push through an emergency use authorization much sooner, probably just after the first of the year in 2022. In case you missed it, parents, heart disease and death have dramatically increased in children ages 12 to 18 after they were approved for the 1,9 injections. So there you go, man. That's the facts, man. The expose in the UK reported a few weeks ago that deaths among male children are 83% higher than the 5-year average since they were given the 1,9. The story has shared so much in social media that the pharma-owned corporate media had to get their fact checkers to debunk it. Those numbers couldn't possibly be correct, could they? And this is what he does. He's a damn liar. Unrighteous decrees. That's what this guy does, and he has that's why he has all these lobbyists and all these lawyers to debunk things. He's a damn liar, man. But that's what you people like. You like smooth things, and you believe everything that you hear in the news. So let me pull that up, because a lot of you people love smooth things, especially our people. They love lies, they love deceits, and pretty much you people are under a spell, man. So smoother than oil. That's his words. So this is Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Yeah, and he gave you that sword. Yep, yeah, you know, his words were soft. Oh no, it's gonna help. It's good. You just need another booster. It's fine. If you want things to go back to normal, just do it. Take it. We'll give you free donuts. We'll give you free beer. You know, that's soft talk. That's smooth words, man. But he did give you that sword. He gave you that jab. and this is war. And this is a spiritual war, man. We're telling you, Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 10th verse on down, man. This is a war that we're in. And this devil, he's a part of that war, and he's waging war on the nation of Israel and pretty much the whole world. But that explains it. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And this is it. This is the swords, man. Look at these people getting poked. That's the sword right there, the baby sword. You can call that. I believe there's an Italian word called Dino. When you look it up, it means sword, a baby sword. Dino. I believe there's a word, Italian word, Dino. What is the word Dino? Dino in Italian mean. There we go. Italian. In Italian, the meaning of the name Dino is little sword. So he just gave you the Dino. Maybe I should title that, Don't Take the Dino. He gave you the little sword, man. That's the sword. That's a little baby sword, Dino. And I have a boss named Dino, man. It's a fucking asshole, man. Most High's gonna put you into slavery too, Dino. Better get ready for slavery. You better hope you're a Jake too. You better hope you're a Jake. Get ready for slavery, buddy. But anyways, man. Yeah, I gave you the damn Dino. Gave you the fucking Dino, man. Most High is not playing with you people. Most High is humiliating you people out here. So this is Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy power. I am Yahweh. That's it, man. So, that's straight up. That's straight up. That's self-explanatory. You're not supposed to let them pass through the fire. You're not supposed to offer them up, burn them, kill them, maim them, sacrifice them. Hey, and a sacrifice is many different things, right? Because we got the definition of what sacrifice is. You don't only have to just kill your children. You can put them through things that are wicked to gain something. You know, offering them up to these different sports teams, the NFL, the NBA, putting them through all that vigorous training when they don't have to do all of that. That's a sacrifice. That's an offering. And just many other things. So let me move on. This is just some examples of what our forefathers did, our wicked forefathers, on how they sacrificed and passed their sons and daughters through the fire. What happened to them? So this is 2 Kings chapter 16, verse 1. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Ermilah, Azah, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. I believe Jotham was wicked. And I believe during this time you had Micah the prophet. He was in this time. He was prophesying as well. So anyways, it says began to reign. 20 years old was Azah when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that was right in the sight of Yahweh his power, like David his father. So he didn't do anything good. He was a wicked man. He didn't do anything right. He did everything wrong. Verse 3. But he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, yea, and made his son to pass through the fire according to the abominations of the heathen. So he did rituals, man. Look at, like, this wicked nigga, Travis Scott. Travis Scott sacrifice. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if they show the pictures. Okay, here we go. That's him. That's not the one I wanted. Let's go images, YouTube. I mean Google or DuckDuck, whatever it's called. So here we go. You got one. Open new in new tab. There was another one that they showed. It's here. Molech. That's another one. That's the deity. And there was another one, man. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Give me 1 second. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. This is the one I wanted. Okay, so there we go. Look at that. All the people going in there. That's a sacrifice, getting eaten up. When you look at this, all the people are going inside his mouth. That's an altar, man. Going inside his mouth. That's an altar. Now, when you look at Molech, let's go. Molech, let's get the images. This is what they'll do. They'll pass their children on to him. And then there's a fire and a blaze. And obviously a part of the ritual is there's sounds and music and chants that you have to do. Alright, there's a ritual. So this is the demon, Molech. And he comes in different forms, in different statues. It does. And a lot of people around the world, they still worship this ancient demon, man. So there you go. That's what it is. It's that sacrifice, opening that mouth, Astro World, and you know what that's about. Astro. He's summoning demons, man. Talking to spirits. So this guy is a wicked man. So he's probably a king coming back, walking in the wicked ways of the kings of Israel, and following the ways of the heathen. That's a perfect example right there. There we go. Let's finish it up. Verse 4, 2 Kings 16, verse 4. And he sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. Damn, this guy was wicked as hell, man. And you know what happened? The Lord came against him, and he sent the other nations to bust his ass up, put him into subjection. And that's what happens. Because the Lord, he told us in the law, if you do this, if you serve any other powers before me, I will fucking kill you, man. That's what he's going to do. And the Lord's going to do that again. He's going to come back, and he's going to burn this place up. And he's going to destroy 2/3 of his people. So here we go. This is 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other powers. So hold on. So here it is, man. You just witnessed the greatest deliverance of your time. Okay? You witnessed the greatest deliverance of your time. He split the Red Sea. He made you walk through it while it was up in the air. Then when you got through, Pharaoh tried to chase you with all his chariots. Then the Lord fucked them up, drowned them in the bottom of the ocean, which by the way, their chariots are still there to this day. When you look at archaeology, it's still there. And then he made all the inhabitants of the land and the earth tremble in fear, knowing his name, and then it made them fear you. Didn't want to come up against you. Other nations didn't want to come up against you. But then you still went and served other powers. That is Israel, a stiff-necked people, man. A stiff-necked people. That is Israel to a T. That is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to a T. You're all like this, man. You're all fucking like this. Just stiff-necked, hard-headed, and just warped. You have a warped mentality, man. Unbelievable. Can't make this shit up. So, verse 8. And walked in the statutes of the heathens, which are the laws, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahweh their power. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced cities. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen, whom Yahweh carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Yahweh Bashem Yashai to anger. For they serve idols, whereof Yahweh had said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet Yahweh testified against Yasha'Allah and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying. Yeah, and that's what the prophets are set up to do, because the prophets and the seers, they are the mouthpieces of Yahweh Bashem Yashai. They're set up to tell you what to do, to turn away from your wickedness. The seers and prophets were never sent to you to tell you that you were doing a good job. And the same thing is today. That's why you have the men of the Lord standing with great millstone, Elder Apostle Tahar on down, and the different apostles and elders through the rank and file. They're out there warning our people and telling them to turn away from their wickedness, because there's going to be a swift judgment. That's why in Revelation 18 verse 4 it says, Come out of her, my people. And that is talking about really the deliverance that's going to get us out of here. That strangest of our salvation, pursuing into Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, I believe. Okay, that's what it's talking about, that deliverance. But a majority of our people, they're not going to be delivered. They're not going to be saved, because they don't want to come out of Egypt. They don't want a mass exodus. They want to live here and be a good old slave. That's why the scripture says, Is Israel a homeborn slave? Is he? And you know, sometimes you have to see, you just have to acknowledge, yeah, Israel is a fucking slave, man. A lot of you jakes want to be slaves, man. You love this shit. You love being oppressed. So let me get Jeremiah 28:8. Let's pull that up. Jeremiah 28 and 8. And by the way, if you don't like my videos, which you probably don't watch. I don't really care who watches. I hope I get 0 views, man. I hope I get 0 views, man. I hope I get 0 views all the fucking time. I don't care if you like my content. If you don't like it, get the fuck off, man. Get the hell off, man. I'm sick of you fucking people, man. Now I'm just getting emotional. Salakia. Anyway, let me get the scripture. So this is Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. The prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai has truly sent him. That's right. So we're not here to speak to you with smooth things. And that's what you like to hear, smooth things. Oh, it's going to be all right. You'll get a pass. The Lord loves you. He's a Mr. Softy. Just keep being wicked. Let bygones be bygones, right? But no, the prophets, they're set up to prophesy against many countries, against great kingdoms, war, and of evil, and of pestilence. So, of evil, bad times, telling you of bad things to come. Rebuking, exhorting, and reproofing, man. That's what the prophets do. We're not here to tell you you're good. You're in a good case. You're not. You're in a bad case. Majority of our people are. You're at the bottom, man. And it's because of you going against the Heavenly Father and serving the gods of the other nations. So that's what we're here to tell you. Now let me get smooth things, because our people, they like to hear smooth things. They like to be coddled and pampered. Tell them that they're great. I'm a great man. I'm a great man. No, you're a wicked man. You're not great. You're wicked, man. People are wicked, man. Smooth things. I'm a great man. No, you're not. You're wicked, man. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. So prophesy lies. Talk nice to me and lie. So what do? They have the mentality of a you know what? Never mind, man. You Israelites, man, you just love lies. I'm going to just leave it at like that. You love to be lied to. You love hearing a prosperity doctrine. You just love lies. And you killed the prophets for telling you the truth. Have I become your enemy for telling you the truth? Briefly paraphrasing. And the answer is yes. You tell Israel the truth, you make enemies, man. Everybody hates you for saying the right thing. But they love Bill Gates. They love Fauci, even though they're liars. They told you it was going to go back to normal, but it never did. They all lied to you. Like, nobody's mad. Nobody's mad, right? Nobody mad. What's up? What's up with that? Nobody's mad. What's going on? Unbelievable, man. Can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. So, now it says here, Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 26, take this book of the law and put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, your power, that it may be there for a witness against thee. And that book is really Yahushai, and he is a witness against you. He is. And you were given all the laws. You know what to do. Our people, they know what to do, man. Yeah, the truth has been out here for a long time. Our people know what it is. There's a lot of our people out there. They know they're Israelites, but they don't want to come back. Dwayne The Rock, he knows he's an Israelite. All those guys, all those celebrities, you know you're an Israelite, man. But you ain't going to come back. So now this is a witness against you. Yahweh Shai, because the prophets are out there telling you. Verse 27, for I know thy rebellion and thy stiff neck. Behold, while I'm yet alive with you this day, ye have been rebellious against Yahweh, and how much more after my death. That's right. So you've been a stiff-necked people, and you've been rebellious. So you've been stiff-necked. Doesn't matter how many times you tell an Israelite he's hard-headed. He ain't going to do it. So you know what that means? The Lord has to bring a beat down to you. He has to give you adversity, man. He has to give you persecution. Because I'll keep a hard-headed nigga listening. Discipline, man. Discipline. When a nigga can't get it right, what do? You got to give him a beat down. You got to ruffle some feathers, man. You got to give a nigga a beat down, man. You got to put your fist in his face. That's what you got to do. And our people, they need a beat down, man. Our people are rebellious as hell. What is the word rebellion? What is rebellion? Rebellion is a sin of witchcraft. Because our people are a bunch of witches and warlocks, man. Okay, rebellion. This is 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity. Yeah, that's right, stubbornness. Stiff neck. Stiff neck, being hard-headed, is as iniquity. And what is iniquity? The condition without having the law. Being in the condition without having the law. That's iniquity. And that's what stubbornness does to you, man. It keeps you in a condition of sin, man, not trespassing all the frickin' goddamn time. And idolatry, because thou hast rejected the word of Yahweh, he hath also rejected thee from being king. You're a reject right now. So no, Israel, you're not a great. You're not great. You're not a great man. You're not a great woman. You're a reject. You're a reject in the sight of Yahweh Bashem Yashai. A big reject. What is a reject? What is a reject? Reject. Reject, eject, set aside, block from inheritance. Blocked from an inheritance, man. That's why you don't have anything in this society. That's why you can't pass shit down to your kids. That's why you don't got land. That's why you don't own shit. 500 plus years you've been over here, you Israelites. You don't own shit. You don't own shit. You own nothing, man. You don't own nothing. You don't even own your kids. Because what do you do when your kids come into this world? You give them a birth certificate. You stamp their two little baby feet on their birth certificate. And then now they're given up to the state. You don't even own your goddamn kids. And you're still stiff-necked and proud, man. So you're a reject, man. You're a reject. Reprobate. Refuse to acquiesce or submit to throw back, cast away, vomit. The meaning, throw away as undesirable or useless. So you are undesirable and useless. Useless. But to some people today, they believe they're a great man. I'm a great man because I'm a part of a fraternity. I'm a great man. You frickin' fool. You frickin' fool. You're a dummy. You're a reject. Refuse to take for some purpose, to repel or rebuff someone who makes advances of any kind. There we go, man. You get the point. People are a bunch of rejects, man, and they're proud of it. They're proud of it. And it's a damn shame. That's just more proof that our people are stiff-necked. You can go read that yourself. I won't read it. It's Jeremiah 17, verse 23. Let's see what we got here. This is just going more into the Dino on how you shouldn't make any cuttings in your flesh nor any marks. So this is Leviticus chapter 19 verse 28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. Okay. Next precept. Leviticus chapter 21 verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. And this is a cutting in your flesh. It's all a cutting. Sticking something in your flesh. Taking the Dino. Taking the Dino, man. Taking the Dino. Alright, man. So, I was going to share this. But that's going into something else. It kind of goes into how the Moabite king, I believe it was during the time of Ahab, when he was attacking them. I forgot his name. I think it's Mishash. Let me see here. Moabite king. Okay. Alright, hold on. I forgot the name of the king here. I think it's Mishosh. Moabite king. see what his name was. Yeah, King Misha. Yeah, it was King Misha. Yeah, so what he did was he sacrificed his oldest son, so Israel wouldn't take over his country pretty much, because it was a sore destruction. Matter of fact, I'll just read it. But I'll have to say this: child sacrifice, it does work. It does work. It does, and it will get you places, but there's a price to pay with it. And when you look up the deity that he worshipped, it goes back to Kamosh, and I looked up Kamosh. It's actually related to the demon Molech. Now hold on, let me get this here. So this is 2 Kings chapter 3 verse 24. And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites even in their country. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone, and filled it. And they stopped all the wells of water, and felled all the good trees. Only in Kerashetheth left they the stones thereof, howbeit the slingers went about it and smote it. So they pretty much took over, man. They took everything. And remember, the Lord, he gave the heathen their inheritance. And it also talks about not removing the landmarks or the borders of your fathers. So they're set up to have their own portion, these other nations. So you can't infringe on that. You can't go over and take it over and wipe them out completely. You can't do that. And when you look at the course of the battle, it was looking like that, man. When you read on. So verse 26, and when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore, which was very bad, for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords to break through even unto the king of Edom, but they could not. So it was so bad that even when he took the 700 men, he couldn't break through. So now he was left with his last lifeline, which is to sacrifice his son onto the demon. That's what he had to do. Verse 27, then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead, and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Yashar'Allah, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. Yeah, and there was a great indignation because they were forwarding the affliction. They already took over. They already could have made them pay tribute, but now they were going to wipe everything out. They were going to take everything over. So you're not allowed to oppress a man and his inheritance and his substance. You're not allowed to do that. Now hold on. Let me get this. And then I'll go back to that. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So Israel, or Jacob/Israel, is Yahweh's portion and his inheritance. But it says here in the beginning, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance. So he divided them different lands, different blessings. He gave them different borders so they can be situated on the planet Earth. So that's their inheritance. So you can't oppress and take their stuff like that and wipe them out. You can't do that. So here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 19 verse 4. Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark. And this applies to us in the law, well, first and foremost, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that Yahweh thy power giveth thee to possess it. And right now, in this current world we live in, there's a lot of artificial man-made borders. And a lot of those borders, they don't go back to the old landmarks of the ancient time. A lot of things have changed. So the Lord, he's going to give Esau and these other nations judgment because of that. And when he comes back, he's going to restore the ancient landmarks. Everything's going to be in its proper place. Just like when you go into Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 8. Because the Lord, he set that. That's a divine border that he set up. But Esau, he disrupted that. More info. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Okay. Micah chapter 2 verse 1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they're plotting to take things over, to oppress a man in his house. And this applies to our nation first in the context, but it could also apply to Esau and the other nations. This is what they do today. This is what America does today. That's why they're called a hegemon. That's why they consume 70 to 80% of the world's resources. Because why? They covet fields, they covet lands, and they take it by violence. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence. How did they get America? They stole America. They stole the land from the Native Americans, and then they brought you Negroes over here to work the land. So that's coveting. That's covetous. That's stealing. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And that's what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to, a man is supposed to be able to pass things down onto his lineage, his kids. All right, so now let me go back to this. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. So when I went into the commentaries, I went to the Matthew Henry commentary, and I scrolled all the way down here to the very end, and I was reading, let me see here, let me just see if I can find it. Here we go. This is at verse 26, okay? No, verse 27. So to obtain favor of Chemosh his god, which being a devil, delighted in blood and murder, and the destruction of mankind, the dearer or anything was to them, the more acceptable these idolaters thought it must needs be if offered in sacrifice to their powers, and therefore burnt their children in the fire to their honor. Right, so that's who he sacrificed his son onto. And the Lord allowed this sacrifice to be good because of what Israel was doing. They're about to take everything away, man, remove the landmark pretty much. By the way of the battle, on how it was going, it was very sore. So you're not allowed to do that. So the Lord, he allowed this to happen, and they got pushed back. Israel had to leave and flee. So now I looked up the word Chemosh, right? Looked it up. So this is Chemosh. Chemosh was the primary god of the Moabites. Numbers 21. This is where you could find it. Like the Hebrew deity Yahweh, he blessed his people with military victory when they pleased him, and allowed them to be conquered by their enemies when they did not. The Moabite king Meshach dedicated a high place to Chemosh, which contained a well-preserved inscription on the so-called Moabite stone, describing Chemosh's involvement in Mishra's battles against the descendants of the Israelite kings Omari, and Ahab. This, and which was the account that I just read in 2 Kings chapter 3. That's the account. The specific characteristics of Chemosh are not clear in many respects. He may have been related to or even identical with the Ammonite god Molech. Okay? So there you go. He may have been related to or even identical with the Ammonite god Molech. So they could be one and the same. And it's funny, Ammon and Moab, they're related. They're two different nations, but they come out of the same loins of Lot. They do. So they're related. It's kind of funny how they worship the same God almost too. So that's so it's pretty much what they're telling you here. It's pretty much Molech. It may be Molech, Chemosh, but it has the same characteristics of Molech because it requires a blood sacrifice. The Moabites, Ammonites, and Israelites were reportedly kinsmen, and the Israelites sometimes worshipped Chemosh as well as their own national god or power, which is Yahweh. King Solomon dedicated an altar to Chemosh outside of Jerusalem in honor of his Moabite wife. Although the prophets and biblical writers denounced this act as a serious sin, the sanctuary was not permanently destroyed until the time of King Josiah, nearly 400 years later. At times, human sacrifice was dedicated to Chemosh, as it was to Molech, and occasionally to Yahweh as well. So there you go, man. That shows you the characteristics of Chemosh. So that's the demon that he was worshiping, and that's almost one and the same of this. It could apply here as well, Chemosh or Molech. So that's all that I have today. I hope this was edifying. Till next time, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bashem Yashai, Bahashem Rakaha Kodash, Shalom.